Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast Channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well.
Good evening. And welcome to the Exeter Planning Board meeting of Thursday, April 24th, 2025 at 7 PM in the NOAC room, right here in downtown office building, located 10 Front Street in Exeter, New Hampshire, to consider the following. And before we do that, we will introduce the board's member. I'm Langdon Plummer, Chair of the Board, and to my left is Vice Chair.
Aaron Brown.
Gwen English.
Nancy Belanger, Select Board Representative.
Jen Martell.
Okay, and may I say the other night that Dean and I watched a meeting downstairs, and we noticed that people that use the microphone could be heard. So please use your microphones. I've experienced it.
Yeah.
So thank you. So that's, all right, now, yeah, John.
John Gruder.
There, good.
Marty Kennedy.
Dean Hubbard.
All right, thank you. We're going to start with the minutes. That was my plan last time, so minutes of March 27th, please. And we're open for discussion or any comments?
I could start, Mr. Chair, if that's okay.
Okay. Nancy?
On page 3 of 14, line 116, Bonnie is spelled B-O-N-N-Y, and it needs to be corrected to B-O-N-N-I-E. And the next page, page 4, on line 135, I think it should say, I think it's supposed to say, Miss English asked if building 11. It just says 11, and I think, okay. And then on page 6, line 253, it has Miss Belanger asked about number 58 on page 2. It should probably say asked about number 58 on page 2 of Jones and Beach Engineering letter dated 3/19/25. So we know what I was asking about.
Okay.
And it happened in one other place. One moment. Oh, I can't find the second one. Okay. Well, I will leave it there for now and see if I can find another note.
Okay.
Thank you.
Glenn, have you got some?
Yeah, let's see. As Nancy noted, Bonnie just needs to be corrected throughout the minutes. There are quite a few of them on page 7. There may be
Page-
others.
page-
The Bonnie Drive.
Yep. On page 7, you
6,
said.
yeah, page 7.
Bonnie.
And let's see. On page 5, it's a comment that Jen made, line 208. Ms. Martell noted landscape island plantings would die, and I think the next word should be if, used for snow storage. So just change is for if.
Okay.
And,
If islands were used for
yeah.
snow
That
storage.
would be more appropriate, because it clarifies what is being used. Yeah, I agree. Just a little typo on page 6, line 223, just capitalize the H in Haven Lane. I had another one. Line on page 9, line 352. This is, Miss Libby was quoted saying, she noted road salt can't be used for maintenance. They will not use multiple treatments and bring one. That doesn't, the end of that sentence makes no sense. I'm not sure what that was supposed to say. So either he needs to listen to the tape again, or just
Maybe just eliminate that last phrase.
just that last
Yeah,
they,
and bring.
Yeah.
or, yeah,
Strike from they to one.
yeah,
Yep.
Hey,
yeah. That works for me. And Bonnie. Line 393,
393.
I think the middle section, and sell and quick as they are, I think it could just say sell as quickly as they are built.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be better.
Does that work, Dean?
Yes, I like it.
My copywriter. I think that was it. Minor changes.
Okay.
I found the one I missed. If I could, Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I believe the one I said earlier was on line 253, and the other one is on line 164 on page 4. Again, just referencing the letter that I was referring to, the Jones and Beach Engineering letter dated March 19th, 2025.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Dean, you find anything?
Well, a few things.
Few things, okay.
Page 5, line 189. Add Miss Libby depicted signage on the guardrail, I think is what she meant. Depicted the guard, I don't know what she's, for sure what she's saying. Are you talking about the signage?
Is that the snow area?
Well, that one's a tough one, because the guardrail does affect the way they would plow. You didn't watch it, right? Did you watch it over?
No.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Okay, well, that's fine. 197, I would suggest just eliminating the last part of that sentence and replacing it with culverts are sized to prevent erosion during a 50-year storm. I think that's the intent.
Okay, any others?
I'm not finished.
Oh, excuse me?
Cut me off whenever you feel appropriate. I'm a,
He just dimmed the lights on.
I'm a wannabe English. Line 219, building 6 and 7 had retaining wall. Not, building 6 and 7 were retaining wall.
Have,
That
right.
makes sense. I would change that to had. On line 227, I would just eliminate the words drop down. But it's not necessary, it's, again. Line 247, edges behind buildings included a filter course and stone reservoir, rather than to be treated with a filter course and stone reservoir. Uh, 247, I would just say simply in the last sentence, she described the filtration system. Again, the English gets a little awkward, and I think that's a simplification. On line 260, I think there's a repetition of the word plan, or I would eliminate the word plan. Conduit note plans as part of Phase 2. I don't know why there's two plans in there.
Plans, okay. Yeah, take one plan out, yeah. Excuse me.
Okay, that's, I'm sure you've heard enough.
Thank you. I'd entertain a motion to accept the minutes as, with changes as noted.
So moved.
Thank you. Second?
Second?
Voice vote, please. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nay? Abstentions?
I
The
wasn't
ayes
there.
have it. Thank you. You were,
I was not there.
you were not there.
Abstained.
Abstention, okay. Record that one abstention. Sorry about that. Okay, now we have the minutes of April 10. Please?
I thought they were perfect.
Perfect.
Nothing is ever,
Oh,
not when I'm
that,
reading.
please.
I had a few.
Someone begs to
Well, that
differ.
way,
Go ahead.
to make a motion to even approve it?
Well, you can do that, but then we have some.
Well, no, I know that. I thought this
Okay,
came
yes, yes,
first.
go ahead.
On line 21, I think we should say 16, because it's been amended to 16 units. And it refers to 16 units later
Right.
on, so, in order to be consistent.
I mean, that one to me, I think it was 17
It was.
said, which is what we have to report, not what should have been said.
Yeah.
So I think you need to leave that one,
Okay.
only because of that. I
Yeah,
I understand your point completely, but.
Yep.
On line 79, I would add the lady's last name. I guess it's Robertson.
Robertson, yeah, we learned that on line 123.
Oh, okay.
And so it wasn't Adele the same.
Oh, yeah, later we do it correctly.
Did she get her voice back?
Heard it a long time.
On line 101, can't have two fences, rather than on top of, I would say adjacent to each other.
Okay. Similar concept.
On line 198, I would say between units B and C of Building 1. That's all I had.
Okay. Did y'all hear you make a motion, John?
No, I got
Oh, you-
something.
Oh, go ahead.
And maybe Marty wants to know too. Line 61, 62, Mr. Kennedy noted they liked the reduction to 3 units up front, but questions if the units got smaller. Mr. Smith indicated that the original building was 422-foot units and was reduced, but he never said how much. You might have said it, but didn't make the minutes. Are they still 22-foot units?
He's behind you.
So there's 326 in.
326-foot
Foot.
units.
Oh, I don't think they got that.
Okay, so 320.
I mean, the question I asked is, the individual units get smaller. The answer is yes. They did. They got big, did they get bigger?
They got
The answer was
larger.
yes, they got larger. So that's.
Units
really
got
all.
larger,
Each
but the
individual.
total,
The total
Yeah,
length.
right.
less.
I know
Right,
that.
right,
yeah,
I don't think
yeah.
we heard of
The
that.
building got smaller, those units got a little.
Yes.
Right.
couple of feet.
But I was just looking for the clarification. Did the individual units get larger? And the answer is yes.
Anything else?
Actually, I think it's related to what we just talked about, but on line 62,
Whoops.
to clarify what we just said, Mr. Smith indicated the original building was 422-foot units and then add specifically, and is now 324.
26.
Foot units.
26.
26
that's
foot units.
That's the line it was on.
Oh, that's the line you were on.
And I-
Okay, I'm repeating the.
But I don't know whether that ever came out that night,
Oh,
those numbers.
I think it did.
It
Yeah,
might
it's-
have, but it wasn't.
All right.
Yep.
But we know now it's 26.
Yeah, again, Mr. Gruder, that was probably John O'Neill who clarified that.
Right. It's probably why it's not in here, because he probably wasn't at a mic.
That's very possible.
Are you ready for a motion, or is everybody
John is,
still wait? Oh, you're
John's
still-
got his pen out,
Sorry,
No, I
John.
read,
and his lips are wiggling, but nothing's coming out.
Wow. Yeah. He's stroking out over here.
no, I
Sweat
just,
pouring off his
Yeah.
brow.
I think I made.
You okay, Gwen? We're
We're
ready.
In my head before.
good?
I was reading, I had some marks, but I got,
You sure?
yes.
Yep.
Okay. Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the minutes from April 10th, 2025, with the changes as noted.
Okay, is there a second, please?
Second.
All right, those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays? Abstentions?
I'll abstain.
You'll
I missed
abstain
that
because,
meeting.
yes, okay. One abstention, good. 2 sets of minutes and 2 abstentions, what do you about that?
It happens.
Okay. Now, where are we? Okay. Next on the agenda, continued public hearing on the application of Stone Arch Development for a multifamily site plan review for the proposed construction of 6 unit townhouses style residential condominium development along with associated parking and site improvements. Subject property is located at 57 Portsmouth Avenue in the C2 Highway Commercial Zoning District and is tax map parcel number 73-14 and is planning case number 25-1. And Dave, would you start us off, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The applicant appeared before the board at the April 10th meeting to present their plans for the proposed project. The board then tabled the application for further discussion until tonight's meeting. A site walk was also held on the morning of April 10th, and the minutes from the site walk are enclosed in the packet. I was not in attendance, I was away, but Kristen Murphy attended both the site walk and the meeting in my place, and I also watched the meeting, so I got up to speed on that. As previously noted, the applicant obtained several variants for the proposed construction of the project from the Zoning Board of Adjustment at the November 19th, 2024 meeting, and I included all the relevant meeting minutes and paperwork from that in prior packets. The applicant has submitted revised plans and supporting documents that were dated 4/16/25, and those materials are enclosed for your review. I did note that we got some more that you have in front of us that were passed out. Maybe the applicant will explain those. The applicant was requesting 2 waivers, which I put in my memo when I was away, but as you will note also on today, we received a letter from them that I think you have, that Barb gave, asking for an additional waiver regarding stormwater as a result of the UEI comment letter. So they are asking for 3 waivers now that I'm sure the applicant will explain the reasoning why they're asking for it. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name's Christian Smith, engineer with Beals Associates, representing Stone Arch on the project tonight. Robert Baldwin, our architectural professional, as well as John O'Neill from Stone Arch are with us here in the audience tonight. And the other supplemental bit of information that came in more recently were the finalized architectural renderings, floor plans, and elevations from Mr. Baldwin's office. Those should be included. It appears Barb McAvoy had made copies for you of the architecturals. I did not realize she was going to do that. You also have those in the handout that I placed underneath the additional waiver request. In reviewing the Underwood letter, which we received, I believe, Tuesday afternoon, they made a couple of suggestions of outstanding comments that they considered partially addressed and suggested a waiver be requested if we wanted to go with the format and the design that we had done, which is what is also provided for you. in addition to the 2 that were filed with the original application. I will go through quickly the major edits that were made to the plan, as well as how that tied into the revised architectural, whoops, my apologies, the revised architectural plans. So we have revised the buildings to match exactly what are on Robert's drawings as well. You can see that based on comments from UEI in the previous iteration, we now simply propose a retaining wall at that location that connects to the foundation, which obviously in the back building actually doubles as a retaining structure. So there are no longer basically 2 retaining structures behind the building. In addition, with the comments from the board last month, Mr. Baldwin did design a patio out here, which will be constructed of pervious pavers with the stone reservoir beneath them, as well as a stairwell around the little utility closet connecting down to the parking spaces. I was going to say parking units, those are not parking units. Spaces in this location. And again, you can see another, I guess, major comment that came out of the board last time was that try to show different types or features on the walls. And if you take a quick peek at his architectural renderings, you can see that he has incorporated that in both of the buildings. And really, those are the lion's share of the plan changes. We did coordinate with Liz McNaughton, our landscape consultant, as well, who provided us with this plan. Now, everything coordinates with everything else. She's got all of the latest data with regard to the patio and walkway behind the units, D through F, and all of the building locations, the landscape aisles, et cetera. And I guess with that, Mr. Chairman, I'll entertain questions and comments from the board.
Okay. Questions?
Do you have 18 feet for the 2 parking spaces
Yes.
and room for walkway in between? Case-
I don't know about room for a walkway in
Yeah,
between
but
the 2.
that's their front doorway, right?
No, the entrance, there's no door on that end, is there, Robert?
No. I'm saying, but that walkway leads to 3 different front doors, right?
The ones in the back.
In the back.
Oh, in
that's
the
what I'm
back,
talking about,
yes,
yeah.
yes.
So, but they have to go out that and they go down those stairs to where those 2 cars are parked.
Potentially parked. Those are our guest spaces.
Okay, but
Yeah, I
is there
mean,
room for
but
someone
you
to
would-
walk through?
Right, you would not assume that 2 passenger vehicles, which is what we would anticipate being in those spaces, are going to be 9 feet wide apiece. That's a pretty wide car. I mean, fire trucks are about 8 to 9 feet wide. So there should, in other words, there should be plenty of pedestrian room if a vehicle certainly, and if 2 vehicles even are parked in that visitor stall.
There is a door, or at least in the rendering, there's a door being shown adjacent to that
On that end of the
parking
building.
stall.
Utility.
So if there's a car parked there, that door becomes, yeah, you can't go out the door.
Does it open in or
There's a
out?
fire.
I would assume they open in, most entry doors do.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
No, they
wouldn't,
open out, because if there's a fire, you need to push a door to go out.
not in my house.
Yeah.
All my doors open in.
Oh, yeah.
But isn't that a utility?
The little square feature at the top of the building, or the southmost point of that building, is the utility room.
But the little bump out right beside the steps,
Yes,
that's it.
correct. Yeah.
And that probably does open out. No one should be coming out of it.
One wouldn't assume, yeah.
Yeah, unless it's during the day and someone's.
Yep.
So the stairs go around that. I see, yep.
Well, if there's 2 cars parked there, the person who parks a second car, I would assume is going to leave room for the person to get in or out of their first car. So there should be pedestrian space to walk between the vehicles.
As long as the
That's
first
correct.
car.
Otherwise, you
sees their
can't
brains
access
going
the
in
cars.
and
Well,
park right in the middle of the stripe.
Okay.
just drive my
Can
my
we,
driveway.
can we
Keep the kids-
out-regulate idiocy, though? I mean, so, I would assume there's enough space for two vehicles and people to go. And if there's not, they're gonna walk around them and they're gonna walk through the hedges. That's just reality, right? So,
I would agree with that. There should be enough room to walk, but I'd still like clarification on the door opening out or in. If it opens out, it's a problem, because there's gonna be a car there.
And are we looking at the same one? I'm looking at.
Unit D.
rendering that has about a
It's the second.
3 or
page.
4 foot
Yes,
walkway in front
yeah.
yes.
before the parking stall starts?
We're talking about this
Right
door.
there.
This right here.
Oh, that door.
This door.
Okay. Got it. I thought you were talking about the utility.
I don't
room.
think that
No.
utility thing was there last week.
Okay.
So
Got it.
That door right there.
so typically
Got it.
I'm sorry,
Is it in the floor plan?
hear me? It should be.
Okay.
Yeah. And if it shows it opening out, we can change it to open in. Most of our doors that are used
Person doors.
by human beings going into units
I did watch the meeting.
are open into the garage. The primary access would be the garage doors, but we, at least if we had the room and the available wall space, wanted to provide a door.
That utility room.
It does show it opening up.
It doesn't show it
I see
opening
it,
out.
yeah.
that's why-
Which is-
Yep, A05, yeah.
That utility room doesn't go into the garage, does it?
No, that
That's
utility room
separate.
does not, no, that's basically just a sprinkler room.
Right there, it's going
Yeah.
out.
Okay.
Which I don't think is typical, is that?
Well, and
To
you'll
open
notice all
out?
of the other doors, the entry doors to the house, swing in.
In.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's- I
it's my
think
mistake
that's-
if it does show it opening out. It's
It
been-
does.
Okay.
It does show it. I'm looking at it.
Yep, I'll make a note to.
It might depend on what's in the room, which you might not be able to open
The
it.
garage, that's where a car could be in the way. That would be.
Yeah, but if it opens out and there's a car there, it's.
Well, yeah.
That's
But
not
the
good.
car in the garage could be in the way too. It could be.
Both ways.
But they control that. So to me,
Yeah.
that's a
That
different.
door doesn't go into the garage.
Yeah,
Yeah, it does.
This little one here.
Goes into the garage.
The
What's the
furthest one
garage
on the
door?
Wait a
left-hand
minute,
side
what
next
one
to
are
the
you looking
stairs
at?
is just the utility.
Yeah.
Does that go
sprinkler
into the
closet.
garage?
Does not.
That's not what I'm talking about, John. I'm talking about the one that goes into the garage in the corner.
Oh, on that.
Yeah, that's the only one that matters. The utility one to me is irrelevant, but the one where the car is gonna be parked is the one I think we're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I would just say in, right?
Yeah.
Because that way, if it's in the way of their car, it's their car.
Yeah.
So,
And they can always hit their garage door button.
exactly,
and lock
yes,
the Yawning
Right.
chasm of that opening.
yeah. Better to catch it now than
Yeah.
a year into someone owning it and being
Absolutely,
frustrated, right?
Absolutely.
So all three garages are open to one another? Or does he?
Oh, no.
So just
No, I'm
the-
talking about just the garage door to get your vehicle in.
The door that up front that we just talked about.
Yeah.
Well, I was talking the back one. That door, we decided opens in.
This door, it is depicted currently to open out. That's going to be corrected to
Okay.
open in.
What I'm asking is, so are those three garages attached? Is that one big open space? So one guy gets a door in, the others don't?
Oh,
Is there
no,
a door
there-
at the other end?
There are 6 doors to the garages. Each of the doors would be separated by a concrete wall.
So.
How about this, the man door? There's one there in the corner to get into that end garage.
Yes.
Each unit has two garage doors,
Okay.
and there would be a firewall partition between.
Right.
So they would
So,
use
but
the.
they don't have the small door.
No,
That's
no
all I'm trying
other,
to get
no
at.
other person access door.
This
On the
unit,
other
it
units.
has that particular feature.
Just that
the
one.
others don't have.
Yeah.
If you buy early, you'll be able to get that corner lock.
The bonus of the end unit, I
Yeah, right.
suppose.
And if you don't like the door, you can turn it.
But if it
around.
was, if it was a real issue, you don't even need it, right?
You really don't.
It's not necessary, correct?
Gwen, you've got some things
Question.
I can see by the twinkle in your
Yeah.
eyes.
Excuse me. On your letter from April 16th, it's the UEI comments and your responses. And my interpretation of the comments made by UEI are that they're not comfortable with the stormwater issues that have come up as they reviewed the plans. And that makes me uncomfortable. You've responded to all of them, but they haven't responded to your response, so I'm
No, they
kinda-
did. We
well,
received that.
was that in
April
today?
22nd. I
Okay,
don't know.
which I haven't had it.
That I didn't make copies of.
Okay.
I thought Barb would have done that.
Barb didn't give that to
Well,
you?
they're here tonight, and I
Oh,
haven't,
yeah, okay, yeah, right.
so I
got
haven't
it.
read them, and
Yeah.
Just making sure they
that
were.
makes me nervous that
Right.
they have issues with stormwater and, okay, that's the problem with getting things, at the meeting, because we don't have time to look at them.
Can we discuss that then, Christian? Can you walk us through that?
Sure. So if we go to their first comment, which is a carryover, numbered 24,
Are we looking at the
I'm
April
looking at the
16th?
April 22nd.
Oh, April 22nd. Okay, hold on a minute.
I'm looking for it because I
I got a April 24.
I'm wondering if did Barb even get them to you?
I don't think we have
did a
it.
bunch of stuff for the other project.
I can't
but-
find
I
it.
don't see it.
I don't see it here.
It's not in mine.
No, I don't have it.
I read it today, but
right.
I assumed
So
Barb
we don't
gave it.
have.
I can get it for you,
How many pages is it? Like one or two?
couple pages.
Yeah, that's probably helpful. It's
Probably.
probably the only issue.
Two.
Wow. These are big, it's a big deal.
Yeah, it's.
Shall I wait till you guys have
Yeah,
something?
just
Yeah,
give us a
thank
second.
That's
you.
fine, perfectly fine.
Do you want to open to the public real quick?
Sure, anybody in the public would like to discuss this particular case, please step to the table or the podium and introduce yourselves so we know who's speaking and our viewers at home will know who's speaking. Nobody here that's interested in commenting, so that's okay. Floor is open if you'd like.
Just a quick comment.
Yes.
This is really nothing to do specifically with this case, but do you remember the project we approved that is at the end of Lincoln Street, if you cross over Epping Road?
Yes.
And there's a new complex, it's a small.
Where the auto body shop was.
Yes.
Yes.
I went in there the other day just to see what it was like to go in. Do you know where I am?
How long ago
Across
was
from the
it?
convenience store.
Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
convenience store, a little gas station.
And it's very
as you go
close to-
by Lincoln Street.
Comes right up to the sidewalk. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And it's kind of up on a rise. There were some issues with the height of it because it had been built a little too high.
Yes.
Anyway, so I decided to go in and just see what it felt like to drive in that very narrow parking area. And I had forgotten they all have one garage and then a parking space in back of the garage or in front of the garage door, I guess. And there were a couple of people out, so I kind of asked them what their impressions were of the space for parking and just the units themselves. And they didn't really have any concerns. They felt that worked well. The one comment that I got from a couple people was just wishing that they had more green space because they don't have any place for little kids just
Yep.
to go out and sit in the grass.
Walk
It's
over
all-
to the school.
Yeah.
It's pretty much all pavement. So I thought that was interesting, but, and it is a tight space.
And those are three buildings right behind each other, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
They park close to the.
No, not really. They have to walk up
Unless
the
they went
Park
to
Street
to Lincoln
Common.
Street School, yeah.
Right,
I looked at that one before when we were on Front Street, kind of get an idea.
yep,
Yep.
anyway.
Interesting to see the aftermath.
It is. It is. And they have decks out front, right? I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've never seen anybody on them, but they look nice.
Want to move away a little bit more.
Mr. Chair, can I ask the applicant a question while we're waiting?
Do you hear
Excuse
her?
me.
Do you hear Jen?
Do you mind if I ask the applicant a question while we're waiting?
Go ahead.
What is the width of the units?
22 feet.
22, okay.
I think that's on.
Magic 22.
You have this? Do you have this?
I probably have it somewhere.
No, this, he handed it out tonight, Jen?
Oh. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's on like the second half of
Look at
it.
everything, right?
No, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. You should, I know we just got it.
I know. Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess I'm just wondering if it's possible to reduce the size of Unit D to provide a little bit of breathing room for those parking spaces, because that does seem very tight to me, the guest parking.
The end one.
That sounded like a question.
That's not my call.
This one on the left-hand side right here, this end unit?
Yeah, the one we were talking about, that door.
I think the only concern with reducing it is that width is really the minimum for having a two-car garage in the unit to provide two parking spots per that unit. So I guess that would be my only concern with that.
That is pretty tight for a garage,
Can
too.
You do have the mic. Oh, thank
So
you,
it's
sorry.
pretty tight.
No glasses
Huh?
on.
It's pretty tight with the visitor spots, too.
It is. It's a tight lot.
Yeah, I mean, we can eliminate the entry door on that side and just have the primary access be the garage if that's concerned.
Yeah, I think that's the concern, and then also what John was saying is just the access to that stair would be, you'd be kind of snaking through
Inconvenient.
cars.
The other thing we
Yeah.
could do, actually, do you mind if I stand?
No.
Can I? Okay.
Go ahead.
So the other thing we could do is we do have this little reprieve over here. We could slide this door down and basically have it open into that little walkway area in front of the sprinkler closet.
What's on the side of that, though? Isn't there like staircase there, probably?
No.
I think it's
On the
other side.
inside, is it? Oh, yeah, you got
But it's
it,
the
you do
door-
have it
The
inside.
door's not the issue as much as the width of the two spaces. Is it enough for two spaces and a walkway?
Do you need the two spaces to meet the regulations? I mean, could it be one space?
It's a valid question. I don't know if we have extras or not.
You might need three.
No, 14 required,
14
14
required,
provided.
14 provided.
So that you do need it.
We do, yes.
So 14, I see, okay.
And again, I think as the vice chair pointed out, these are the size of every standard parking stall in town, where obviously people are able to open their doors and walk between vehicles to
Oh,
get
yeah,
to where
yeah.
they're going.
Yeah.
So I don't see that as a real massive issue.
Okay, let's get back to where we were, Gwen, I'll give questions.
So I would just ask Mr. Smith to walk us through the comment
Yeah.
that Gwen
Yeah.
brought up.
Yep, that's fine. So number 24, they reiterate the original comment, our response, their response, our response, and then their response as of the April 22nd letter is that the comment is marginally addressed. Treatment is now provided for a portion of the site, but the remainder of the site remains untreated and undetained. In addition, our concerns regarding infiltration of water behind a retaining wall foundation remain UEI. It appears to UEI that the buildings and interim space between the buildings could be raised, reducing the height and structural requirements of the retaining walls. Further, it appears that the underground detention could be accommodated between the buildings with some creative relocation of utilities. That would be some real creative relocation of utilities. They're running all through that drive aisle. The only thing we could possibly do in that instance would be to go with porous pavement there. And I just think with the turning radiuses the vehicles are going to have to make on this property, it's probably not a great fit there. I mean, it could be done, I just don't think it's a great fit. And I do address this in the waiver request that we handed in today as well. Specific to number 25, let's see, we'll get down to their comment today. Comment partially addressed as the rest of the site remains untreated. If the applicant does not provide a remedy to treat all runoff on site, a waiver is needed, which again is a part of the reason we provided the waiver request tonight. Number 26, let's see, their current comment, they say comment not addressed, which is a slight misnomer because we did reduce down, as you'll see, the flows to 1/100th of a CFS. That is a very, very small change in flow. Under the 2-year storm, that's the smallest storm. All the larger storms do show a reduction in both flow and volume. And at the 2-acre volume is below the 1/10 of an acre foot, which is the threshold criteria in the town's regulations for channel protection. Again, I address all of this in the waiver request. So I'm not even certain that a waiver is required as far as number 26 goes. But again, I wrote it into the waiver request as a belt and suspenders approach. 31, they had previously asked for building setback lines to be shown on the plans. Still not shown. It's unclear if the buildings fall within the ZBA relief granted setbacks. What we've done on the current plans is to actually just dimension the overhangs of the buildings to depict that we are meeting the setbacks that were granted by the Zoning Board of Adjustment during the variance request. And then the final one is the elevation of the permeable pavers behind the building is unclear. They want spot grades as appropriate. And as that is intended to just be an infiltration situation when the rain falls and runs down the hill from the neighbors as well as from the roof of that building, it will likely be level. And we will add 3 spot grades down that on the final plan set, and that should clarify that question.
So, can you just walk us through the stormwater management, like kind of
Yes.
on the site to a layman, like how it works?
Yep. So we have this entire area of paved patio, or paver patios. Those are going to be pervious. They do have the filtration below them. They've got the stone reservoir below them, which you can see if you look at the cross-section. Then, of course, which we don't even model in the stormwater plan, these are proposed the identical thing. They're going to be pervious as well, so they will take some stormwater from that. But this entire roof is, well, the back end will fall directly into the paver area, and the front will be guttered, down and into the stone reservoir, as is pretty typical. Now, the landscape architect is proposing stone mulch for a good deal of the area outside the building. And obviously that stone mulch is going to capture and infiltrate water. But again, we try to run these stormwater models so they are as conservative as possible and basically just contemplate our design BMPs. So that's going to capture an awful lot of water, which is not even accounted for in the stormwater model, because we went, and those absolutely de minimis increases, which I think are allowed based on the letter of your regulation, will not be noticed. We've reviewed all this with Paul Vlasic as well, the town's engineer, and he said there is absolutely no issue with what we're proposing.
So the stormwater that falls on the roofs that go toward the driveway and the stormwater that falls on the driveway, where is that treated?
That isn't. That's part of the waiver request. Oh, dang. Keep missing
So
the
that flows to the street and is
flows
caught
down
by
to the
town
existing catch basin right there.
basin.
Yeah. And what we've done is essentially in the larger storms, reduced, and in the smaller storms that we have to evaluate based on the regulations, we match that number.
And then how are you addressing the concern from Underwood about the hydrostatic pressure behind that wall? Because it seems like you're sending a lot of stormwater to an area behind a retaining wall, which is,
Yeah, it's really not that great a deal of water. I think even in a 50-year storm, we'll double check. Yeah, in a 50-year storm to that pond, to that pond is under a single CFS, under one CFS.
so what pond?
The storage area underneath the pavers. Back
Okay.
in here.
But how is that gonna, where's that gonna go? After it goes under there, like,
Well,
it's just gonna
it's
collect and
because
accumulate?
that's not gonna be a massive cut, that is gonna go into the ground and infiltrate back into the groundwater. On the site walk, it was pretty clear to see that slope is probably close to 20 feet, if not about that. I haven't actually looked at that recently, but, and obviously where we were standing, there was not water bleeding out of the slope. So the groundwater is below existing ground elevation on the low part of the lot. So there is an ample depth for that water to infiltrate into the ground and not bleed out anywhere.
And you've done test pits that actually show?
We
that?
had, auger test pits is what was done for the soils.
Okay. Yeah, that seems, I don't know, if I was building that wall, I think I'd want an under drain or something just to relieve that pressure. Because that could really cause some damage to the foundation, I would think. Since the
Well, bear
retaining
in
wall
mind,
is
the
also
foundation is a retaining wall, which will obviously be sealed on the exterior. But yeah, I don't foresee this being any issue whatsoever, and obviously neither does the developer who's got to construct and market these things.
Didn't I read this? I'll never find it. It sounded like that you had clarified something in one of your responses to UEI that wasn't really to be a retaining wall in the true sense of the word, because they were afraid that it was going to hold the water back, and that in their mind wasn't appropriate.
Exactly, so
But you're
that's why we
saying
kind of
it
made
is.
it integral into the foundation of the building. And the only retaining wall now is that little angled line right there. So it will just tie into the foundation on the corner of Unit F in the front, run its little angle, then run straight into the corner of Unit C, going, with a reduction in the wall height as you go down to match the elevation of the foundation of Unit C and tie there. What we had originally, Glenn, was where we had the little stone drip edge that ran the whole length of this building. There was the foundation and then a retaining wall behind it. So we have rectified that situation. And in this iteration, they seem to be comfortable with that redesign.
Well, it looks like there is a retaining wall behind Unit F on outside of the walkway. What is that?
I think that's just a you either put a plastic grid with a vertical system to hold the pavers in place so that they're not sliding
Okay,
around.
that's not a wall.
I
with
think
any
that's
sort.
just an aesthetic feature. Go ahead, Ron.
So that,
No, according to the grading plan, that's
yeah, so
retaining.
that's it's just a 2-foot wall. It's just a small little, like a small landscaping wall essentially.
Just to make clear, I haven't assigned our assistant board members here, so Dean, you will not be acting tonight, but you certainly can participate in the discussion as you are.
Be acting in the next one, though, that Marty's not.
Could be, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that because of something he said?
And
or-
Marty will, Marty will be acting this evening.
Sorry, Dean.
Christian, you can tell us a little more about the decorative stone mulch. I look at the first rock, that shows the lights, and it looks like there could be some grass there, but now I look at the landscape plan, and it's this,
Yeah,
Tell us more about
I
it.
think what she's stating is basically anything disturbed on the slope wants to be treated that way. There are still, albeit everybody that was out there saw them, not very attractive, but there are some trees that are gonna be saved on our property, not in the back, but along the side.
yes,
Those will be retained, and obviously, we're not gonna stone mulch in and around the trees.
Right.
They're gonna do it to the edge if they determine they wanna do it. But essentially, it's a 4 to 6 inch deep. It's drainage stone, it's washed, typically washed granite, but it doesn't have to be granite. It can be anything that's kind of a jagged rock. I don't believe she intends to use like a rounded river stone.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, and essentially, they put a bedding underneath it, they put fabric underneath it, so again, the rock doesn't,
Yeah,
start to sink
the
into
weeds don't go
soil,
through,
et
yeah,
cetera.
okay.
But, that will certainly, again, collect and infiltrate
Yeah,
some of the runoff.
thank you.
So the only actual like lawn area is the strip out front now?
Yeah, aside from that area along the side, Jen, that I mentioned.
Yeah,
Sorry, I think I missed that. Which area?
Well, if you look at the color site plan, the first page of the plan set that you're holding, if you look along the left, there is a very shallow tree line.
Oh, where the existing trees are?
Yeah, we're not obviously going to cut trees to put down stone mulch.
Mr. Chair, can I follow up on?
yes, Gwen?
As a non-engineer, it's hard to sort of absorb a lot of this
We're gonna
information.
send you back to
but
school.
I just, I'm back on the stormwater, and I'm just wondering if you could give us details maybe on what UEI, or maybe in discussions you've had with their engineer, other engineers, what they would like to see you do on this site that would.
They don't give
They
us
don't-
opinions
don't
on what
do-
they would like
that-
us
that-
to
that
do.
never comes
They-
up in a
Exactly,
discussion.
they just point out
Where they
that
have
we have a
issues.
small increase in
Okay.
flow in the two-year storm and volume. Yeah.
Well, they do, I mean, I'm not seeing it right now, but there was a mention of doing some subsurface infiltration, I believe.
Yeah, that was the comment that they made with some creative, there
Utilities.
could be some infiltration put between the two buildings if there was some creative relocation of utilities.
And that's what you said was
That's-
going to be a
it's
challenge.
There-
Got to be
Therein lies
more
the
than a little
challenge.
creative
Yeah.
to get that done. I mean, specifically, just the water main and the sewer main alone, they have to be 10 feet apart from one another.
Just, yeah.
Then you've got the gas line running in there, you've got electric, you've got cable, TV, all of that. Personally, I think that would create a bit of a mess, but that's, again, my opinion.
Did you say that you received input from the town engineer?
Yeah, we talked to the municipal engineer, because of course we want his opinion with regard to that catch basin that's out there. And these proposed increases in flow and volume are so de minimis, they're not even going to realize them at the end of the day.
Was Paul Vlachis?
Correct.
Is he okay with where you stand right now, as far as the solution
As far
goes?
as I know, yep. We have not heard anything to the end that he is not.
Do you know anything on that, Mr. Sharples?
I do.
Can you share?
Yeah, Paul doesn't have an issue.
Thank you.
Any of it. You did say on comment 28 in your April 16th letter that this has been confirmed with the town engineer, but I wasn't sure if that was just for comment 28 or if it was for the entire.
Yeah, I
raise the
mean, we
questions,
reviewed
but-
them all, because that original one came out of technical review committee, which Paul attends. And also bear in mind, when we did run the analysis, we ran it as the site is today. There was a fairly large parking lot and not a large home, but a house on this property
Yes.
historically. So again, to try and be conservative with our numbers, we ignored that and ran it as the property sits today because the house has been raised.
Do you happen to know the pavement used by the property next door to you? Is it pervious or?
hotel?
Yeah. Do you know?
Most don't
I
think
don't
it
think
is.
it's-
I don't think that's
I think it's what
pervious.
you're proposing.
Yeah, I don't think it's pervious.
I don't either.
I don't think so.
No.
There weren't very many projects
They,
that we
again,
did
they have
then
some
that were.
turning and as you come in the front door, so.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, just that
That
entry
would pull it
drive
up
that goes
like
in
a
and underneath the
racetrack, yeah.
porte cochere is quite a curve for porous pavement.
Right.
Vehicular traffic on
Right.
top of it, at least.
And they have quite a bit of lot coverage on that parcel.
Yes,
Yes.
they do, yeah.
Yeah, and again, we're taking, there is a decent amount of runoff that actually runs to the site from upslope of us that everybody that went on the site walk could see. And that is being captured and infiltrated as well.
To answer your question, I asked Paul Vlasich, I sent him the waiver request and said, do you have any issues with this waiver request? And he wrote back, I have no issue with this minor request. He said he talked to Christian, he's okay with this minor request, that's what he said.
Any other thoughts, questions? Are we ready for looking at waivers? Aren't we ready yet? Nobody from the public, so I think we're, since we're about ready to move on along.
Does this project trigger any like state stormwater or is it too small?
Stormwater, no, just the sewer extension permit, because we're adding new sewer manholes.
Okay.
Even though it doesn't come close to the 5,000 gallons per day increase threshold, every time you propose a new manhole, you need to apply what the state for the sewer extension.
That was, have you present a waiver?
I have a question for Mr. Sharples. In the letter of April 16th, the UE response said, without retaining walls, the project as proposed is not possible. Could you elaborate on what they were talking about there?
You would have to ask them that. I'm not an engineer.
Do you know what retaining walls
Well,
in
I know-
specific they were talking about?
What comment was that? What number?
11, number 11.
What I can tell you is, based on our review, the April 22nd letter, April 22nd, 2025, that I just recently passed out.
Yeah.
It says, based on our review of the above information, we offer the following in accordance with the Town of Exeter regulations and standard engineering practice. This is key. Any previous comment no longer listed has been addressed satisfactorily. So if it's not listed in this April 22nd letter, it is addressed satisfactorily, and 11's not listed, so they feel it's no longer a comment. What they meant by it, I don't know, but they feel it's addressed now.
Yeah.
And I'm only speculating, Mr. Hubbard, but I assume that meant because of the foundation and the wall behind that. Now that the foundation is going to functionally be the retaining wall. So, I mean, that entire thing is a poured block of concrete.
Yeah.
With rebar, et cetera, which
Yeah.
will be waterproofed on the exterior. Once that was removed, they no longer had an issue with the walls.
Well, we still have this landscaping wall, this 2-foot landscaping wall.
Yes.
Back there. What's the difference between a landscaping wall and a retaining wall?
Well, that will retain soil,
Yeah.
but you can build up to a 4-foot wall just with off-the-shelf products without structural engineering design. So, this being 2-foot, they're going to put whatever they choose. I mean, that's heavy enough to hold back the soil. Specific to the wall that runs between the two buildings, that will almost no question need a structural engineering design, which we talked about last time.
And that will be done after approval.
Post-approval prior to construction. Yeah, probably prior to the construction, pre-construction meeting, excuse me, would be my guess.
Does that answer your question? Kind of?
Kind of.
Just whether we believe it.
Well, I think Dave answered your primary question.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, yeah. How about we move to waivers here? Road and fire lane less than 24-inch width waiver motion, or waiver. Could you address that and then
Sure.
explain it to us, please?
Do you want me to read through the criteria?
Oh, sure,
Okay.
please.
So that is the request. And, again, in your regulations, this can be waived based upon the review and recommendation of the Exeter Department of Public Works. And we feel the waiver is justified, is that the proposed design is adequate access for the town's aerial ladder truck. The reduced width will decrease stormwater flow from the driveway due to the reduction of the impervious area. Therefore, granting of the waiver will not be detrimental to public health, safety, welfare, nor could it be deemed injurious to another property. 7.2, the conditions upon which this request is made expressly due to the fact that the proposed development access to Portsmouth Avenue is in the same location as the existing access. The existing curb cut is being utilized and is unique to the parcel/proposal and not generally applicable to other properties. 7.3, due to the location of the curb cut for the existing driveway, the proposed driveway was placed in the same location. This would result in a hardship if the strict letter of the regulations is carried out, as it would add needless impervious area to the development where access for all potential emergency response vehicles is provided, and the proposed reduced driveway width without potential for conflict. 7.4, the waiver would not be contrary to the spirit and intent of the regulations, as the proposed development will result in adequate width for cars to pass one another in opposite directions, as well as for the town of Exeter's largest truck, the aerial ladder, to maneuver in and out of the property. 7-5, the proposed waiver does not propose to vary the provisions of the zoning ordinance or the master plan. This is demonstrated by the facts cited above, particularly the fact that sufficient fire access will be provided as part of this proposed development. And I will tell the board, and Dave can confirm this, the fire inspector who attends the technical review committee hearings basically indicated that if one of these buildings is on fire, they're never going to pull a truck into that property. They're going to fight it from the hydrant on Portsmouth Avenue. But they have the room to do so if they do.
Yeah, sure. Yep.
I can make a motion if you'd like.
Okay, please do.
Roadway and fire lanes less than 24 feet width waiver motion. After reviewing the criteria for granting waivers, I move that the request of Stone Arch Development Planning Board Case Number 25-1 for a waiver from Section 9.14.9 of the Site Plan Review and Subdivision Regulations to permit proposed roadway and fire lanes to be less than 24 feet in width be approved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? We'll do hand vote on this, please. So, starting on your end, Jen, those in favor?
Aye.
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 Unanimous vote? Okay, the next one would be,
This
Grading.
is for the grading within 5 feet of an exterior property line.
yes,
The proposed, we feel the waiver is justified because the proposed design provides adequate space to work between the proposed disturbance and the property line of the commercial property. Therefore, granting of the waiver will not be detrimental to public safety, health, welfare, nor could it be deemed injurious to other properties. The condition upon which this request is made is expressly due to the fact that the proposed development access to Portsmouth Ave is in the same location as the existing access. The curb cut is being utilized and is unique to this parcel and is not generally applicable to other properties. Due to the location of the curb cut and the access drive, we placed it in the same location. This would result in a hardship if the strict letter of the regulations is carried out, as it would be illogical to move the driveway further west off the existing driveway. Care will be taken to ensure that no disturbance takes place on the abutting property, and adequate screening will be maintained to the extent possible. 7.4, the waiver would not be contrary to the spirit and intent of the regulations, as a proposed development will result in adequate width for construction to take place without causing harm to the abutting commercial property. 7.5, the proposed waiver does not propose to vary the provisions of the zoning ordinance or master plan. This is demonstrated by the facts cited above, as well as the fact that no structures are to be located within 5 feet of the property line, and that includes the edge of pavement. We have pulled the pavement back beyond the 5-foot mark as well.
okay. Make a motion, John?
Sure.
Okay. Sure, well.
All right, grading within 5 feet of the exterior property line waiver motion. After reviewing the criteria for granting waivers, I move that the request of Stone Arch Development, Planning Board Case Number 25-1 for a waiver from Section 9.3.6.4 for the site plan review and subdivision regulation regarding grading within 5 feet of the exterior property line be approved.
I'll second.
So moved and seconded, thank you. Any discussion? Let's start, Marty, with you.
Aye.
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 Unanimous vote, that goes, passes. Now, I have a letter dated April 24th here.
That is correct. That's the new
Okay.
one. That came out of the final Underwood
Yes, yes.
review, which, again, David had spoken with Mr. Glossage about, and I had spoken with him about it prior as well. So this is to allow flows and volumes greater than that of existing conditions, and requires 100% of the new impervious area to be treated to BMP standards. We feel the waiver is justified, as the proposed connection to the municipal drainage system has been removed, which was originally proposed, and the de minimis impact on the municipal system due to the increased flows as 0.07 and 0.01 cubic feet per second in the 1-inch water quality volume storm and the 2-year storm events respectively, and the volume of 0.003 or 3/1000th acre feet, approximately 131 cubic feet of volume in the 2-year storm event. Upon discussing this proposed increase in stormwater flow, the Department of Public Works agreed that this is a minimal increase and it will not have an impact on the overall system under the 2 smaller storm events. All larger storm events show a decrease in peak flow. Additionally, the former house and driveway had no stormwater retention or treatment, and the former impervious area was not evaluated in the current stormwater model. Finally, pervious paver walkways in the front of the property, as well as the stone mulch, as we have discussed, will provide additional infiltration and treatment for the development, which again was not accounted for in the stormwater model. Therefore, granting the waiver will not be detrimental to public safety, health, welfare, nor could it be deemed injurious to other property. The conditions upon which the request is made is unique to the property, as proposed development will capture, treat, and infiltrate a relatively sizable area from off-site upslope. And the conservative method used in the stormwater model does not take advantage of other infiltration and treatment that certainly will take place, nor models the existing condition of the parcel as it was originally developed. This is unique to the parcel and generally not applicable to other properties. The regulations allow for a 0.1 acre foot increase in volume. We are proposing 0.003. And I did provide at the end of this a copy of that section of the regulations with those areas highlighted. And it also provides for allowances for scientific uncertainty and mathematical rounding. This and the fact that there is a good deal of area, the stone mulch as shown on the landscape plan, and the front pervious walkways will indeed provide additional infiltration and treatment of impervious surfaces, which is not accounted for in the stormwater analysis, and denial of the waiver would result in a hardship requiring the increased flow and volume to be mitigated in another way. The waiver would not be contrary to the spirit and intent of the regulations, as a proposed development and resulting increase in flow and volume will not impact the current municipal drainage system as agreed upon by the Department of Public Works. The proposed waiver does not propose to vary the provisions of the zoning ordinance or master plan. This is demonstrated by the cited facts above, along with the absence of such language from the zoning ordinance or master plan.
Mr. Chair, can I ask a quick question?
Yes.
Would this be in the documents for the condo owners that they maintain the gutters and that those are
Oh,
always?
yeah, that'll all be part and parcel of the, there's actually a stormwater inspection and maintenance manual that accompanies the stormwater study.
Right, right.
And I believe, Dave, correct me if I'm wrong, there are reporting requirements.
Annual report, yeah, and the condo docs to include maintenance requirements for all stormwater practices shown on the plans. That's a standard, and when they give our condo documents, I make sure they're in there.
Just the gutter is sort of, seems like.
Oh,
it's
gutters, yeah.
That's a different beast, and that sounds like it's
Oh,
a
you said
pretty
gutters.
critical part of this, of the control
Yeah, I
of
mean,
water going. I mean, it's got to
certainly
go into the municipal
Mr. O'Neill
system.
can have his attorney, when he's drafting up those documents, reference that.
That is a stormwater practice.
It certainly is. I
Yeah.
mean, it's
But
Yeah, obviously.
it's really, in
I
this
just didn't know if
case,
it's something
Yeah,
that
yeah.
we typically think
yeah,
of.
and it's a good point, though, because in this case, I mean, they're really no different than a catch basin. They're
Right.
collecting and
They're
delivering water
outside.
to the, yeah.
Kind of out
exactly,
of sight. And a lot of
exactly.
people don't like gutters because they think it does damage to the structure of the building if it's not maintained properly. I'm just,
Well, right, if you maintain them.
if you maintain them, that's one
Yep.
thing.
So we will absolutely address that and making that note in the docs.
I have a question also.
I'll certainly ask a question.
Mr. Smith, if you had calculated the prior building and whatever driveway they had to that into your management plan, do you think there would have been an increase post?
No.
That was the existing condition, which it obviously
Yeah.
is not.
Right.
But if it
because the building's
was-
been raised. No, if we modeled that old house and driveway, we would have been below in all storms. Again, we're reducing the 10, the 25, and the 50-year storm event.
Right.
It's just these little 1-inch rain events and the 2-year storm, which is approximately about a 3-inch rain event, give or take.
And you didn't calculate the walkway in the front?
The pervious walkway in the front, nor any
Yeah.
of the area with the stone mulch proposed.
Right, okay.
You mentioned waterproofing the foundations on the outside. Well, these are going to be exposed to moisture quite a bit. Is that a different than the usual just slopping on tar?
The bitumastic sealer, I don't think so, John, do you? Is there a different material that they put on the back of the foundation, the exterior of the
Yeah, we do a
foundation?
lifetime warranty. It's a waterproofing, not a dam proofing, so it's waterproofing. It's rubber and it's almost a half an inch thick by the
Oh,
time
okay.
it's done.
All right. And my question of Dave is, what, we need a motion? What,
Yeah, I can tell you what, I'll say the motion, and then someone could,
that, I think we're ready for a motion? Yes. Could you-
after reviewing the criteria for granting waivers, I move that the request of Stone Arch Development PB case number 25-1 from section 9.32 of the site plan review and subdivision regulations regarding redevelopment projects from discharging to a municipal stormwater system in volumes and flows greater than discharge under existing conditions, and requiring 100% of new impervious surface area to be treated to BMP standards B, so either approved, approved with conditions table, or denied.
Who'd like to make that motion? It's already made, ready made. What do you say, Jen? No? Okay.
Do you think you want a condition on it, Gwen?
I'll put-
I'm asking Gwen
I'm-
specifically.
I'm
Unsure?
unsure.
Okay. I'm just trying to
I know. I
pull it out of you, that's all.
appreciate that.
Not pushing you, I'm just trying to,
Right.
Well, I appreciate it.
I can say in discussion that I'm satisfied that it's not gonna cause a problem. I think there's a reason we have drainage systems throughout the town. If you look at other development in that area, this is far, in a way, superior stormwater management. Just because it's new, we're still holding them to a very high standard, even granting this waiver. So I personally don't have an issue with it for those reasons. Plus, I do think it is a very minimal technical difference. You're talking about somewhat of an arbitrary number that they come up with, right? So, and the fact that they're getting kind of punished because it's an empty lot right now.
Right.
In reality, right? I mean, if it wasn't an empty lot right now, if there was literally anything on it, the increase would be within the threshold. So there aren't a lot of these empty lots that we're going to see that would fall into this situation.
Well, I think also working with the town in the process, there's no
Right.
surprises here,
Right.
and I'm comfortable with it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So is that a motion?
No, I'm just trying to discuss it first.
Yeah. Yeah, you ready to say it? You'll make
No,
that
no,
motion?
no.
Okay. Darn.
I mean, I'm
Yeah,
prepared to make a motion.
I agree
unless-
with Mr. Brown, the vice chair. We've had our town engineer
Yeah.
weigh in, and that's important, why we do it that way. Gwen, would you feel comfortable, whether you vote yes or no, to have the gutter included, language included, just to have it there as a backup? Or are you
As long
okay?
as it's in the documents for the,
Okay,
I think I'm okay
Okay.
with that.
okay,
I
good.
think if I didn't have this paper in front of me saying comment not addressed, just some things, comment marginally addressed, there are just some things that I like to have a stamp that says they've addressed all of these issues, and that makes me feel a little bit more comfortable, but I'm struggling a little bit with that. Again, as a non-engineer, if I didn't have this and I'm listening to you, I would say, yeah, it all makes sense. It sounds like you've addressed all the
Understood.
things that need to be addressed. But,
You do have another engineer, though, by the name of Paul Vlasic, who has.
I know, I understand that, too. I understand that. So,
I agree with Gwen. I think I'm uncomfortable with some of the comments that don't seem to be addressed in this. I think I'm uncomfortable with the stormwater management system behind a retaining wall. I feel like that's, even the detail says for the pervious pavement has a note on it saying slope, like underneath the pervious pavers, your subgrade is supposed to be sloped to drain. And it says this in your drawings. There's no drain. Like, he's saying it's gonna infiltrate, so if it's gonna infiltrate, why is your subgrade gonna be sloping to drain, and where's that drain? I don't think it's not passing the sniff test for me, this stormwater management plan. And I get it that, it was reviewed by one engineer and said to be okay, and it was reviewed by another engineer and said not to be okay, and to me, that's like, I think I'd rather it be a little bit more
Dave, did
belts and suspenders.
Just for clarification, I'm not sure that, like, I asked him on the waiver request. I don't know if what his thoughts, I didn't ask him his thoughts on the stormwater design and the retaining wall.
So the waiver
Right.
request just being the discharge, the additional
Discharge and treating it.
Right.
I didn't ask him about the retaining
Okay.
wall.
Yeah, and specific to the pervious pavers, similar to the pervious pavement, you know, essentially, just like the project that we did on 112 Front Street, that all goes into the ground. There's no under drains. So what they will do is when they prepare the subgrade on which the material goes, the filter material, the stone, it will just have a slight kick. This is the existing ground that they dig away from the foundation. It goes into the soil. Where it drains to is back into the groundwater matrix whenever it reaches that elevation.
Well, it's partly the uniqueness of the lot. You know, it's
Right.
not, the abutting lots, except for the hotel, are not exactly level. So,
Right, right.
and I think as you pointed out on the sidewalk, there's no sign of, that I've seen, of any sudden wash or, you know, soil down at the bottom of the slope.
Yeah,
that we
there's
saw.
no rilling at all that
So-
takes place on that side.
And that's interesting, because that's a pretty steep slope.
Yeah.
So,
And I mean, you can see, Mr. Chairman, the neighbors basically have a similar slope, that they have just done the same thing. They've stoned it in and,
Yep.
you know, they don't have any issues.
Yeah, the existing condition doesn't seem to be eroding.
no, that's what I'm saying.
I mean, my gut tells me it's going to be okay. To me, it's just, the issue is we're getting all this like at the last minute.
Make it hard.
That's the problem. I mean, I don't think it's going to be a problem, but it's just, that's my gut, and that's just,
Would you buy one of those units?
I'm not going to answer that.
He did. Yeah.
Christian, so the water comes down the hill,
Yep.
some of it gets absorbed in the hill, and underneath the pervious bricks in the back, pavers, there's more rock. Right? Is there a pipe underneath someplace?
There's no under drain. We would only design under drain underneath that
If you
if,
had a catch basin to push it to, right?
so something to push it to, or the bottom of the feature was actually into the groundwater table.
Yeah.
And do we know it isn't?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So I guess it's time to see if this waiver is going to pass or not. I'm going to make that motion that Mr. Sharples read earlier for approval.
Okay. Is there a
I need a
second?
second.
I'll second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Excuse me.
Mine, second.
Let's start with you.
Aye.
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 Oh,
We can come back to you, Gwen, if you'd like.
yeah.
Okay, Nancy?
Thanks. I'll say aye.
Okay.
Nay.
Nay. One nay.
I'll say, I'm going to follow my gut. I'm going to say nay.
Nay. Two nays. Okay.
Pass.
Motion passes. All right. Now we have a planning board motion,
The multi-site plan.
multi-site motion.
Yeah, so, so on the site plan motion, I think we're going to have
Well, you
the
got,
same discussion. Is there any other concerns the board wants to discuss before
well,
we discuss moving
Dave
forward?
has the usual,
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm saying,
but have we, yes,
Something
now
other than-
discussion.
yeah, something
Yeah.
other than, essentially, I'm saying the back slope.
Yep, yep.
Have we talked about
Actually-
lighting?
Oh,
Sorry,
No,
Gwen.
no, go, go, go.
I don't remember talking about lighting. I'm just curious, because I'm seeing the lights at the garages.
Yep.
There's no lights in the front? Those
There would only
walkways?
be door lights, safety lights that would be flicked on and off by the homeowner. You know,
And I
just
guess there's
safety
lots
lighting
of
for all
street light
entrances.
too, so it's not like it's dark.
Yeah, the presumption is the garage lights will probably be motion detectors. That won't be the case facing Portsmouth Avenue or facing the abutters to the east.
Did you include a photometric plan? I don't think I'm seeing one.
Yeah, there is a,
I think there was one in the, maybe, the original.
It's part of the presentation plan, he does the,
yeah, we
the
show
six
the
cones
the
by
cones of
the, but he
illumination.
doesn't show anything out front, or in the back by the porous pavers either.
So those are down,
Yeah,
lighting.
dark sky compliant.
yep.
Yep.
So that's just the parking lot. What about
There's gotta be a little
the
carriage light
the
or something.
outsides?
That's the only, like, lighting that is not just a normal house porch light.
All right.
60 watt, whatever it is.
And is there a street light right there? There must be one pretty close.
Telephone pole.
Pretty close.
We didn't look up on the sidewalk.
Yeah, I can't remember
if
it.
there's a
Yeah, is
light.
one at that corner
Yeah,
by the
right.
end?
On the right, yeah, yeah.
I feel like there's one right there.
Kinda
There
where-
is, actually, right at the
Right
corner of the
here.
property.
Yeah,
Right
towards the
between
end.
our entrance and the entrance into the Hampton Inn.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
I think it's on, is that on your plan right there?
Yeah,
think
it's
so.
this thing.
Yeah,
No, I think it was on that first.
I think it was the court, yeah, that, it's
right
like,
there, yep.
yeah, that's it, yeah. So that's throwing a lot of light to the front, so I mean, whatever you put in front is probably not gonna,
It's gonna be in the
Add
background
anything.
noise. I think
Yeah.
that's probably why the lighting engineer didn't
right.
bother with
So the
that.
bigger question will be the back,
Yeah,
towards the abutters on the other side of the hill, and you've got a hill between you and them
yeah.
anyway.
Yeah,
And again, those are just gonna be,
Little
you know,
ones.
manually operated safety lights for the doorways, the entranceways.
yeah.
Yeah, I think usually, I mean, on applications, we like to see the photometric plan with anything that's going to cast light on the project, just to make sure that it doesn't spill over. I think this came up in the last application too, so it would be nice to, I mean, I understand it's probably not much of an issue here, given the surroundings, but I think it's something that's good, it's a good test to do, and it's something that I personally like to see.
So have the front door lights and the back lights
I guess
shown
it
on the
would be
plan?
all of the.
Yeah, and the photometrics, so the numbers that, like, how much light they're casting, because these have like the rings of illumination, but
Yeah.
usually the lighting engineer can just put the actual photometrics on the plan.
I have one non-lighting question.
Oh, I'm done with
Are you
lighting.
set with
Yes,
it?
thank you.
I'm just curious, if people are coming, or if people are exiting the site and they want to go to the left, but they can't because there's traffic there for whatever reason, and this is probably not going to happen often, but they're going to want to get out of their road, and they're going to take a right. And I did that after the site walk, and I thought, okay, now I've got to go all around the hospital, because that's the first turn you make when you leave. That's the first opportunity you have, really, to get,
Well, I can tell
So
you what
tell
I would
me
do,
what-
Gwen. I would go to that light, I would turn around in the Rite Aid parking lot, and I would go back to that light and take
Yeah.
a left.
Go through
Yeah.
I do
Donuts.
it all
What I
the
do.
time.
yeah,
Go to Dunkin' Donuts, get a coffee.
yeah, right,
Go home, maybe.
That's another option.
yeah.
Yeah, because if I remember right, your last meeting, when I watched it, there was discussion of the sign that said right turn only.
Right,
Yeah.
and
Right.
Marty said that's not a.
I did,
I buy into your,
yeah,
That
I don't think
it's not
it's a good
necessary.
idea to prohibit the left simply because
They're
Yeah, because
there's
there's
residents,
times of the
they
day
live
where it's
there.
not a problem.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
And they're gonna do it
And they're
anyway.
going to
And people
ignore
are gonna
it. They'll
do it
ignore the
anyway.
signs. We shouldn't have a sign that people are going to ignore.
Right, and I
Left turn.
It's
don't
like
have
coming out,
any
it's like
argument
coming out
with
of
that.
Hannaford's driveway. You gotta creep out there.
Oh, right.
And there are
right,
times
sure,
that
Mike.
it's wide open, and other times you just gotta sit and wait for that opening to come.
Which one are you talking about? Hannaford's, is that? what you said?
Hannaford's, yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry, I missed that first.
Directly
part.
across from, yeah.
Yeah.
No, but the signal's always, of course, the best way to do it, yeah.
Once those signals are coordinated better, it will help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Which, if I understand correctly, they're actually going to do that.
Sounds like
At
it.
some point in the near future.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that would make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Any other, so we want to have a condition that addresses the lights?
I
I mean, I'm happy to have, if you guys want it, I can get the lighting consultant
Yes.
to show 60 or whatever they propose, what, switch lights out of the doorways and what the number would be, the numbers.
I think that's a good idea, because we're probably
That's
gonna
fine.
see you again, so I think we need to keep your feet to the fire a little bit, Mr. Smith, and stop
I
cutting
don't
corners
believe
and
it.
trying to fast track your approvals. So,
It's like the
Get
site
carried away
plan.
Add that
with
as a
the special table.
just see Beals and Associates, they'll get it through, you know.
I haven't heard that one.
What did you call it?
But you feel free to tell me.
Photometric, thank you.
I think that is a good condition, Dave, if you could add that when we go through that. Just that he's with the, I would assume just pre-construction reality, just have him submit something that shows the lighting plan.
It'll be part of the final plan set
Yeah.
that we amend to address all of the conditions.
All the exterior lighting.
Yeah, yep.
And in the future, should we have this discussion again?
Hey, have I
We
walked
could
in
be
here-
tabling your meeting.
Have I walked in here without a color presentation, for instance?
Not in a while.
That's right. I heard Gwen loud and clear when we were at the library.
I hope
Thank
Sylvia's
you.
watching these shows.
I appreciate your doing that.
Okay, so we have Dave go through the conditions?
I think it's time. I didn't hear any other
No,
conditions.
I haven't either.
Yeah, unless you want to do something
Unless you
about
heard
the
something.
doorway.
Near the door.
Probably worth putting in there, just because we spent a lot of time on it, and it
There was
kind of
kind
makes
of a
sense.
couple options thrown
Yeah.
out there.
Eliminate
Yeah,
it
that's-
or
that's
open
what
it
I was
in.
gonna ask.
You
Or
could just
move it
say
to
it
the-
doesn't open out, no longer, the side entrance on the rear
Well, I
building will
think
no
the
longer open
architect's
out.
idea of shifting it to where the mechanical room.
Or just
Yeah,
eliminate.
we'll change it to open in, and Rob says there's no big issue putting it back near the mechanical portion.
But put it in as a condition, just to be sure it gets done,
Yeah.
please.
I don't think there are any others.
I haven't made notes of anything else. no.
Adding the spot elevations on the patio. That was a request.
Yep.
I thought that was someone's request.
It was you.
Yui.
It was
yeah.
you guys, yeah.
I don't think we really discussed that, but it can be in there, I guess. Is that a big deal?
Fully intended to do that anyway.
Okay.
Dave's making his notes, so we're probably ready to read our bedtime story.
Was that both, just the rear, was that all of them? There's pervious walkway up front, too. Was you guys' comments on
No, I think it's just the back.
No, it was just that back area.
The front's pretty level.
behind the building? Okay.
I think you probably got a slight push to the road, but not much, right?
Very, very shallow.
Yeah.
It's a nice building. It's an interesting building, so it's different. I'm pleased with
And with
that.
this type of housing, we're fulfilling the master plan.
It
that?
sure beats
I
what's
said,
there
with
now.
this type of housing in this location, we're fulfilling a portion of the master plan.
Right.
Okay, Dave, we're ready.
Cross that
ready?
one off. Cross
Yep.
that one off the list.
All right. We have the,
There's no bike path, though.
there's no what?
It's a John Gruder comment.
Okay. We have the standard 8 conditions, but I will read them for the, 1000th time. Number one, an electronic as-built with details acceptable to the town shall be provided prior to the issuance of a certificate of occupancy. This plan must be in a DWG or DFX file format and an NAD 1983 State Plain, New Hampshire FIPS 2800 feet coordinates. Two, a pre-construction meeting shall be arranged by the applicant as contractor with the town engineer prior to any site work commencing. The following must be submitted for review and approval prior to the pre-construction meeting: the SWIP, if applicable, and the project schedule and construction cost estimate. Three, third-party construction inspection fees shall be paid prior to scheduling the pre-construction meeting. Four, all condominium docs, including the decoration and bylaws, shall be submitted to the town planner for review and approval prior to signing the final plans. Condominium docs to include maintenance requirements for all stormwater practices, parentheses, including gutters, annual reporting, etc., end parentheses, shown on the plans. In the event the town planner deems that review is needed by the town attorney, this review shall be at the applicant's expense. Five, all applicable state permit approval numbers shall be noted on the final plans. All appropriate fees to be paid, but not limited to sewer, water, connection fees, impact fees, inspection fees prior to the issuance of a certificate of occupancy. Six, all landscaping shown on plan shall be maintained, and any dead or dying vegetation shall be replaced no later than the following growing season, as long as the site plan remains valid. Seven, all outdoor lighting, including security lights, shall be shown on the final plans and shall be downlit and shielded so no direct light is visible from adjacent properties and/or roadways. Eight, the applicant shall submit the land use and stormwater management information about the project using the PTAP online municipal tracking tool. The PTAP submittal must be accepted by DPW prior to the pre-construction meeting. And the two conditions that were added, I had the side door on the first floor of the northeast side of the rear building shall open into the garage and shall be moved to the rear of the garage as to not to conflict with the guest parking stalls. And spot grades of the rear, let me start over. 11, spot grades of the pervious walkway in the rear shall be shown on the final plans. Does that capture everything? I think it did.
Okay. Let's see, we've got a motion and a second.
I will move that the request of Stone Arch Development Planning Board case number 25-1 for multifamily site plan approval be approved with the conditions as stated by Town Planner Dave Chuckles.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Thank you, Marty. Are we ready to vote? Sure. You'd like to start, Jen?
I'm going to vote no.
No? Okay.
Aye.
One.
I think because of my earlier vote, I have to vote no.
Okay.
Aye.
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 Okay, motion carries. We have that. Thank you. So the motion carries. It's
5-2.
5-2 vote.
Thank you very much,
Thank
folks.
you.
Good luck with your project. So we gotta go into private session here?
Yeah.
And before you do that, Mr. Chair, I'm going to recuse from this case, from this
Okay.
application. So I won't be going in. No.
Is that just,
Good luck.
I'm going to be recusing myself
Absolutely
as
going to
well
take my seat.
for the next.
I'm going to even move this.
We talked about
And
Ray
I'll
Farm.
leave the chair. Well, I might.
Yeah, I have to recuse myself. I live there.
But
So
I
that's
will
two
come
visits.
back and sit.
So Dean,
Good luck. Take care.
you'll be acting on this one?
If you like.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, right, okay. Sure.
We have two.
So, I don't know if they should be present in this part of the meeting or not. If they're recusing themselves.
I would say not. Yeah.
See, I think that's all a personal thing, like I said in our comment the other
Yes,
day.
yep.
So I guess,
I'd prefer not.
okay.
You prefer not to?
I'd prefer not.
Two of our members are recusing themselves from this.
Yep.
Should they participate in this next thing or not?
No.
Okay, there you go.
So we need a motion.
What's the motion, David?
Move to enter a non-public session under NHRSA 91A:3, Roman numeral 2, little l.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Those in favor indicate by saying aye. I think we can do
Do we
it
have
in
to
a
do
voice
it
vote.
individually on this, I think? Each one of us has.
Go ahead.
Roll call vote. I think we have to do a roll call.
Roll call, okay.
I think that's the.
Makes sense, let's do it. Doesn't take long.
Okay.
You start.
Where's your paper?
Oh, Dean,
Dean,
Dean, I'm sorry, so we're gonna start,
we're voting on executive session.
going into private session
yeah,
so we can discuss council.
okay.
Going offline, we have to do a vote, so you have to say yes or no.
Yes. What's been a, Jen? Come around.
Yes.
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 Aaron?
Yes.
She's already said she's out of here.
And Nancy's.
Yes,
She also- And I am a yes as well.
I'm gonna be nice.
okay.
Wheel
Motion-
right room?
Should we take all this?
authority for design review of site plans, lot line adjustment, and wetlands and shoreland condition use permits for the purpose of relocation of Building D of the Ray Farm condominium development and associated site improvements off Ray Farmstead Road. Several properties are located at C3 Epping Road Highway, Commercial Zoning District, and identified as a tax map parcel 47-8 and 4781. Planning Board case number 22-3. Just a comment or two before we begin the meeting. The Planning Board, I recommend the Planning Board take the position that it has no jurisdiction to resolve property disputes. I would advise the Planning Board not to get in, the position that the property rights are beyond the jurisdiction of the Planning Board, and we should limit its participation accordingly. So with that, floor is open for your discussion.
May I, Mr. Chairman, first?
Yes.
Yes, just to back up, originally it was submitted as a formal application. It went to the Technical Review Committee. It was deemed incomplete for review purposes for a number of items that were outlined in the TRC comment letter. Their attorney, Mr. Phoenix, sent me an email saying, they recognize that it is incomplete for review purposes. They're not asking for acceptance of the plans tonight. They would like to change that to a design review preliminary discussion.
Yes,
I don't
discussion.
have take any issue with that. And recommend the board, I think, can freely do that and have a discussion about, under design review.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'm Tim Phoenix. I'm an attorney at Hopeful Phoenix, formerly in Roberts and Portsmouth.
Could you use the microphone, sir?
Pardon me?
Could you use the microphone
I
so
was
folks
too
at
far
home
from
can
it.
hear what you're saying? Thank you. And us
I thought it
too.
was close enough.
Thank you.
Do I repeat that?
No, go ahead.
Okay.
Carry on.
I'm here with, on behalf of Willie Creek and CKT, who are the owner, applicant and owner respectively. John Schaffmaster, the principal, is here with me in the row behind me. Kat Morrill is next to me from Millennium Engineering, who's done the technical work. And Bill Blackett is here, who is with CKT and Willie Creek as well. Thank you for the advising us of the board's position with respect to private property disputes. I would ask, if the board is comfortable and can, is to identify the nature of the property dispute you don't want to get involved in.
Well, we've got letters from various attorneys, and there's clearly a property dispute. That's not in the preview of the board. We
So-
don't deal with that. We have
so
no
I just-
legal responsibility. The select board in this town takes care of those kinds of things, not us.
I just want to clarify that the property dispute you're talking about is between the owner and the select board based upon the information that's been submitted to this board?
I think that's correct.
Okay, I just want to put it on the record that that's what
Yeah,
the property dispute is. Okay, we can deal with that later.
Which is none of our business, by the way.
Let's talk about our project.
Let's talk
As
about
you
the project.
Most of you were probably on the board several years ago when this came before it with different engineers. It was tabled in 2022. Mr. Sharples has given a very good, brief, but fairly comprehensive summary of what happened before. We brought this back forward last fall, and here we are. I'd also mentioned that this was originally a four-building project.
Yep.
3 of those buildings are built. All 4, including the Building D that we're now talking about, was approved. At that time, Building D was in a different location. It was approved by the planning board. It was up, what I call, by the mobile station. Mr. Schaffmaster would like to move it where it is now proposed. He has informed me that in addition to other things, it's better wetland buffer-wise, it's better coverage-wise, et cetera. I'm going to turn it over momentarily to Kat to go through the plans, but I also would like to thank the board on behalf of my clients for agreeing to do this in a more or less informal design review type of a thing. It's a little unusual, but we thought that given the history of this from some years ago and it being brought forward, it was, since the hearing was scheduled, it was worthwhile to have preliminary discussions with the board to kind of go through where we are and get your preliminary discussions as we move it forward. With that said, I will turn it over to Kat to explain the proposal, and then subject to discussion, questions, et cetera.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, thank you so much for allowing us to attend tonight.
Could you have the microphone?
Sure,
closer,
yep,
please?
of course. As Tim said, my name is Kat Morrill. I'm from Millennium Engineering. I've been helping with the technical aspects of this project. And so what we're proposing and have in front of you today is the mid stages of this plan design, I'll say. And this includes the relocation of Building D to what is the top right-hand corner of the plan as shown on the screen. And this plan uses a 24-foot access road stemming off the end of Ray Farm Road as it exists today. It connects to the existing drainage that's there that the town currently has an easement over, and then continues up and proposes additional drainage and stormwater management. Let's see if I can do this without changing the, changing the screen on myself, and then provides 72 parking spaces, half of which are underneath the building and the other half that are in this parking lot. New to this site design, and we feel that's a little bit better than the last. This doesn't provide a continuous turnaround for any type of fire apparatus that is reaching out into this site, whether it's for medical or fire purposes. And then we've also connected this this new building into the existing development with a walking path. When we sat with TRC, there were kind of a multitude of things that we need to address, and we understand that we need to address some detailing on the plans, some differences in colors. The plans that we originally submitted, and I'm not sure if they're in color in front of you or not, they were in black and white, and that makes it very difficult to read the wetlands buffers. We're also in the process of getting everything together so that we can submit for our conditional use permits, but what we wanted to approach the board with today is to see configuration-wise and some of these initial aesthetics of the plan, what the board's general feeling is of this project as it sits.
Is that it?
You want to open it up to the public?
I could do that, yep. And I can open this to the public. Anybody in the public would like to speak, feel free to raise your hand and speak in one more microphone.
My name is Marty Kennedy. I live at 7 Wiley Creek Road, at Building A on the map there. I'm also a member of the Condo Association Board. I'm not necessarily representing the board. However, we, the board members, have talked about the concerns we might have. We've also had meetings of the various residents. We've had discussions of that. Depending on where you go with this, in future meetings, there may be additional people, residents, who will want to come. But I wanted to come to just give you a sense of what discussions that are happening at Ray Farms. I would say that in general, the residents are not necessarily opposed to the project, but we have significant concerns. And actually the applicant has met with the board and has offered to work with us, and those type of discussions are ongoing, but we don't know where they're going to go at this point. But I would say I do wanted to at least at this, because this is a conceptual discussion, raise at least two, I'd say, substantial concerns that we have, so that you're aware of those. Number one is the proposal is to have a private driveway that's laid within that 50-foot easement that potentially could be a connection to the Carlisle property, which is adjacent to it. I know you don't want to get into the litigation, but as a resident, we have to be concerned about where this litigation may go. And if you approve a private road and then at some point in the future, there's a connection to an adjacent parcel that will have other traffic coming through that road, that's a problem for us. And as far as we're concerned, unless the town can assure us that that would never happen. We would prefer that that road be a town road, funded through the TIF process, which was originally envisioned for this. The residents do not want to be in a position where we are maintaining, having the long-term cost of maintaining a private road that potentially could be connected to another adjacent parcels. The second issue is we have serious concerns with the it's not on the map here, but out on Epping Road, any pedestrians trying to get across Epping Road, it is a dangerous situation. The Epping Road today, and that section has, some 12,000 vehicles per day. During the afternoon peak hours, like 1,500 in that segment. I mean, that's a car going by every 3 seconds or so. During the busy times of the day, it is impossible for a pedestrian to cross there. This section of Epping Road, we're now bringing residential into this area. So if this fourth building is approved and built out, we'd have 128 units in Ray Farm. And across the street, of course, you have the Gateway Development Project, which has another 224 units. So we're talking about over 350 residential units right here in the segment. To the back of where we are, we have a wooded area, there's bike trails and there's hiking activities, and there's a lot of pedestrian movement out here. And, what's ultimately needed is some type of a signalized control that allows pedestrians to get across Epping Road, and that's a concern of us. So, I know it's early, but at this point, those are we may have other concerns, but those are the two, probably biggest concerns we have at this point.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Quick comment. Yeah, my name is Russ Hilliard, and I'm with the firm of Upton and Hatfield. I represent Scott Carlisle, and I rise just to reiterate what I've said to the board a number of times over the last 3 years. We have never objected to the relocation of the building. We just want to be sure that whatever happens doesn't interfere with Mr. Carlisle's right-of-way that leads to his property. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Does the board have any other questions at this point?
I don't.
I think,
Okay.
I think
Mr.
the
Chairman.
the only thing that and you've already stated that this is something that you're addressing, but the plans are hard to read, and there are a lot of things that are missing. Like I can't tell what the buffers are, and I don't see anything about the shoreline protection area and how that affects this site. So that just needs to be fine-tuned. And I know you've already said that that's what you're working on, but I concur with that.
Thank you. That's why we didn't come forward tonight with a formal hearing, because it wasn't going to go anywhere.
Right.
And the fact that you haven't really asked many questions here tells me that was probably smart. I do have one closing remark to make if the board has no other comments about the project itself. My closing remark is, this is, Mr. Chairman, in response to your opening statement, in which you said that the board has no jurisdiction to resolve property disputes. Respectfully, I would submit that we haven't asked you to resolve a property dispute, and in my opinion, the Select Board has not asked you to resolve a property dispute. It is set forth in my letter that I know you only recently received, so you may need, and your council may need some more time, but we will be pursuing this. And I'm just going to read the conclusion. This is what we want this board to do. CKT has a right as an abutter to access the Ray Farmstead Road, and I've cited a lot of legal precedent for the right to access a road when we're in a abutter, which we are. The conveyance of the fee did not modify that right. The town has the right to reasonably regulate the access, and it has delegated that right to this board. And this board should apply its ordinary standards for the approval of driveways just as it would every other case. That's all we're asking. That's not a property owner dispute. That is asking this board to follow its own rules with respect to this application. Thank you.
You have a motion to,
I don't know what the motion is for that, closing this.
Yeah, you can determine the design review is ended and formal application is next.
Okay.
I mean, if you feel that
Well,
it is.
there it is. All right, I'll make a motion. The design review has ended. I move that the design review process for Woolly Creek Company Planning Board case number 22-3 has concluded and instruct the town planner to notify the applicant in writing in accordance with NHRSA 676:4.
a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded?
And one more thing, procedurally, with respect to future hearings, shall we reschedule this hearing for another date so that?
We need a full application before we can answer
Yeah.
that. So we're in the middle of a motion.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, you're right, I'm
Motion on the table
sorry.
to end this design review. It's been seconded. I gotta do a roll call, or?
Yeah, let's do a roll call, just to be sure.
Jen?
Okay.
Yes.
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 Yes,
Yes. Aye.
unanimous, thank you. Everyone, for your time.
All right. So now we'll go to your agenda.
Yep.
Master plan discussion. Do you have a master plan discussion? Hi, dear. Good to see you. Good to see you, Mike. Have a good night. We are in a meeting. We're in a meeting, folks. We're still in a meeting, folks.
Hello, we're still in the meeting, so if you
Yeah,
could,
we gotta finish this. We wanna get out of here.
we love the public, but we gotta get going here. We didn't bring our sleeping bags tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you again. Yep.
All right, so master plan.
Master plan discussion?
No, Nancy left, I said I wouldn't say anything, so I don't have anything anyway.
Nothing.
So he just told you he's done.
Okay.
That
He's
means-
done, okay.
Can I add one? Are we at other yet?
Yes.
We are.
Other, yes.
Okay, real quick, and I.
Says right here,
I thought
Gwen.
I had it with me. When we were at the RPC meeting the other night, and they had the survey that they want us, everybody to fill out.
Yes.
I'll provide it to Barb. I'll try to get it to Barb, so maybe she can post it. But if
Yeah.
you go on, it's for it's for the regional master plan. So if you go on the Rockingham Planning Commission site and just look for the survey, public survey, it takes a little while to do. It's kind of an in-depth survey, but I think it's something that will.
It's a survey that might, yeah.
Will
makes
help
sense, yeah.
them a lot. It's
Yeah,
about
yeah.
housing, transportation, et cetera, et cetera.
Thank you for pointing that out. Yeah,
What our priorities
yeah.
are. and-
Yeah, we should definitely do that.
So-
We should definitely do that.
And other communities are ahead of us in participation, so
Uh-oh.
get
Oh, is it
competitive.
like we get a prize?
Didn't hear anything about a prize.
Be another report to read, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else for the good of the order?
Well,
Okay.
so while you're in survey filling out mode, I will put a little plug in for the Pearpoint Park survey. I'm on the Pearpoint Park Planning Committee, which is the little vacant piece of land at 23 Water Street.
Yes.
I've been working with some fellow residents to design what could potentially be a park there, or come up with some proposals. So there's 3 designs. You can go on a survey. It's actually very quick compared to the RPC one, and
How do you find that one?
I think it's on the town website.
Okay, I think it is too. I feel like I
There's
saw
also a
it.
QR code at the park.
QR codes
Oh,
at,
yeah.
Take a picture of.
property, or is it who?
It's owned by the town now.
It was donated.
It was donated.
Yeah, it was a nice donation. They actually donated that lot,
Yeah.
which is
Beautiful.
pretty nice lot. Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
That could be so cool.
good point. Yep.
Yeah.
I
And
think
Jen
he
did
came
a
up with
great
some good
job with
ideas.
this
Thank
concept.
you.
Good, yeah.
Nice.
I've heard that
I went
they're
over them today.
amazing.
I was on vacation and missed those couple meetings.
Yeah.
Good job. yeah.
Thank you.
Yay, Jen.
That's awesome.
Lots of trees, no?
I mean, it's a small site, but there are
Small
some.
site, yeah. We're getting comments, no trees, no big trees. Oh, lots of trees, you know. Everyone wants-
What about painting the trees on the side of the building, like I suggested? That just went nowhere.
We don't own the building. We can't
They'd
make
let you do it.
Okay,
Yeah.
for a price.
Just don't do that.
Well, yeah,
Thank you.
so that's two things on our little list to do before we meet next time.
Yep, it's gonna be raining on Saturday, so that's a good.
Yeah.
Again,
Yeah, okay,
okay.
we all meet at
Survey
the,
day.
we all meet at the plot of land on.
Right.
To see if the hill is washed away.
Okay. Well, thank you for coming this evening. And, we're supposed to be organizing, aren't we? Dave?
Organizing for what?
Yeah, you want to get organized tonight? We do have a couple people absent now.
If we
For
can't do it, we all
what?
have to-
Voting and all that
For-
stuff?
For you to continue as vice chair. No, excuse me,
Yes.
for you to become chair.
No.
I become vice chair.
Why, you really want to do that?
Don't we all have to be here? I think-
Not necessarily.
isn't that it?
I don't think we have to vote on anything, but
I was
we
thinking
are
all
getting
have
towards
to
the
be-
time for offices, right?
Yeah, it's May.
Yeah.
Oh, May,
It is
okay.
May. So the next, is it the next hearing?
Probably, well, you could do it. One of the two meetings in May.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so you can campaign for the next 5 days.
So what that means is if you don't make the meeting next meeting, you're
Will
getting
be
a
an office.
position.
Good to show up.
You better show up or you're gonna be the chair.
Okay. So,
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
thank you. Is there a second? We stand adjourned then. I make a quick assumption everybody's ready to go, you know.
Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report, with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well.